Hey, welcome to Transaction Review and Calculator Practice. I'm hoping that all my stuff is still working. Hey, Kathy, it looks like I can't talk to you. Anyone else? I'm trying to unmute. Kathy, are you there? Or who's here? I see Dimitri and Mark, and that's the only names. There's other unnamed people. So is hi,
Hello, Don. This is
hi,
Dmitry.
Dimitri. Hi, and I have.
Hey,
Uh, how are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Very good. Welcome and thank you for being here. And then Mark, you sent me hello. Where are you from, Mark? Oh, hi.
Uh,
Yeah.
you know me from with Veronica.
Oh, gotcha. Very good. What have you guys been up
So,
to?
uh, lots of stuff, all sorts of exciting things. But I see you moved to Nevada?
Yeah, I've been here for almost 2 weeks now. So I'm still really living out of boxes and kind of a disaster, but it feels really good.
Wow.
I was in LA for 50 years. Yes, I turned 50 on Sunday. Thank you very much.
Wow.
But
Happy birthday.
yeah, thank you. But the kids are grown, and it was just time to get out of LA and have a little bit quieter of a lifestyle. And gosh, it's a lot cheaper here.
Is that right?
Yeah,
That's near Tahoe, right?
yeah, it's a half hour to Tahoe and a half hour to Reno. And so the city's about 55,000. It's a nice size. It's little but big too. And the capital's here and
Huh.
all the governing state political things are all here. But it's
Well,
all
you remember what happens in capital city stays in capital city, so
well, that's good. That's good. I'm sure I'll get in lots of trouble here
yeah.
in the last half of my life. But well, thanks for being here. And Kathy, great seeing you. Hope you're doing well. And there's other people kind of joining, but it's time to start. So today I'm just going over a. This is just a note deal. I mean, sometimes I think, what if these get boring for people? But really, every note deal is a teeny bit different. And it really never hurts to just be reminded of the thinking. At least that's my hope. The thinking that goes behind these. And then at the end, I kind of added an example of like me as a note buyer, what could I do with this note, which I think I haven't done too much of before. So this is a note that I should be getting the paperwork this afternoon or tomorrow morning, but literally I've been trying to buy this note for 2 years. And so, sometimes it goes like that, where, you'll work and work and work, or the person just never gets the paperwork together or something like that. So I'll tell you this little story. This was the collateral, it's in Virginia. It's a non-owner occupied, so it's a tenant. The owner of the property and the note payer is the landlord, and she's got tenants in there who are obviously paying for the property, right? So it's a non-owner occupied single family residence. The sales price was $60,000. I looked at the HUD-1 settlement statement and it was zero. And I'm like, are you kidding me? You took a zero down payment on a non owner occupied single family. So obviously, it's huge, huge red flag because that makes it look like she has no skin in the game and she could default. And now I've got the expense of foreclosure and paying insurance and taxes while I hopefully get the property back in one piece. But in his mind, here's what he did is that it needed a lot of work. It was a total fixer. And so the person who bought it is I think she's a Marine. If not a Marine, she's in the Army or something. But her father manages all her properties, but she's been acquiring rental properties for some time. This isn't her first one. And so in his mind, the fact that she put a roof on it and did all the work to the tune of about 20,000, in his mind, that was her down payment. And I agree. And if in I didn't ask for receipts to prove this was all done, but if this was a new note, I probably would. Like if I was buying this with less than a year's worth of seasoning, I'd want to like see proof that it was done or pictures of someone I would send over. I would do an interior BPO or appraisal, something like that. But anyway, so that was the way it was structured. That yeah, I sold it to her with 0% down, but she put all this work into it to be able to rent it out. It does appraise in that general $80,000 range. So luckily, he's right. So, but really, he originated the note as 100% loan to value, right? But in his mind, it was 75 because it's a $60,000 note. And pardon me, I'm just gonna mute everyone just for the line's sake, and you guys know to send me a little message if you want to talk or something. But so in his mind, it's 75% loan to value because it's really worth 80. And at this point, I agree. I don't know if this was true from day one, but right now it's bearing out. The face rate on the note was 10%. The term was 180. So when anyone tells me what their note is, I automatically recreate it to see if they understand what they have and if they're right and all that. And if they're not right, or especially like if a note broker, someone who's trying to flip me the note, broker me the note, if they get these wrong and pass along a note that's, I mean, it doesn't reflect well. Like don't sell me something that you don't even know if the math is right, because it makes you look really, really bad. And so anyway, so that's how we recreate that note. This happens to have a lot of seasoning. We can see that this is for what, almost 4.5 years of seasoning. So the balance left on the note, even though it started at 60, is down to 50. And the way I quickly figure that out, and of course, if they've made any additional principal payments, it would be lower, but just assuming that they paid exactly what they were due. So basically, after 52 payments, right? So I'll put 52 in the N, and then I'll solve for future value. So what's left on this thing? Okay, and there's other ways to get it, but that's one of the fastest ways. 50,625. The remaining payments, right, are 128 because 180 minus the 52 that have already been received leaves me 128. I'm going to turn this back to 0 because it's fully amortized. There's no balloon payment. And that's really kind of nice, right? Because you know that if they keep the property rented, it's not the credit and the financial strength of the buyer. It's their tenants are paying the P&I. So there's kind of two layers of payment there that I really like. Let's see. If I want 16% on this, and that gives me room to broker it, to keep it, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And also, I'm hanging out for 10 years here on this, so this kind of yield, although I can't always get it, to me is a nice one for a long hold because it buffers me against increased interest rates, increased inflation, and things like that. Because I can't. There's a likelihood this could pay off early, but I've got to assume that she's not going to sell or refinance in the next 10 or 11 years here. So then what will I pay? So I will press PV. So I will pay, let's round it to 39.5 and see what I'm buying it at. Oops. Press yield. So right 16%. Which, basically I can look at that and say, what percent, I don't know why that's doing that. Okay, so 39, I'm trying to figure out what's the percentage, because everyone wants to know what's the discount, and they always mean, are you giving a 20%, 30% discount? So basically I can always put this in terms of a dollar amount, or a percentage of UPB, which is unpaid principal balance of the note. So this is the UPB, the 50,625. So, wow, I don't know how to get rid of that printer thing. Okay, 39.5 divided by the balance, 625. Obviously, that gives me, well, so just in essence, let me just go ahead and recreate this a little bit, and I can edit it out later. So I apologize for that. But anyway, the $60,000 note, right, at 10% and fully amortized over 180. and I'm solving for payment. Okay, so this is the note as they created it. And if I want to find the balance, this is how I did. There's 52 payments received, so I put it in N. And then over here, I solve for future value. So that's what I was saying that you can now see. So then also I want to figure out how many payments are left. Obviously 180 minus 52. 128 goes in here. I want to see what's my yield requirement, what I want for buying the note. Obviously I have to change this back to future value because it is fully amortized, and then I hit present value to figure out what I'll pay for the note. 39.5 there, which is just shy of 16%. Okay, and then 39.5 divided by the UPB, unpaid principal balance, which is 56.25 equals, okay, 78%. So basically I'm offering 39.5 or 78% of the UPB, unpaid principal balance. And my ITV, my investment to value, even the loan to value at the best is 75% here, right? Well, 50, actually it's 50, right? The loan to value at this point, because it's been paid down, is less than 75, but because I'm only paying 39.5, so 39.5 divided by the value, the BPO at 80,000. So I'm buying this note with investment to value at 49%, which means, I have 50% of the value, the equity in the property protecting my position. So it's a nice yield for a note that's been seasoned for over 4 years. That's excellent seasoning. And I've already seen, excepting the last three or 4 months of payments, I've seen proof that these payments have come in already. So it's all real good. All real good. Next. All right, what the broker gets. Now, okay, the new note broker, now this is a guy, now he called me probably 7 or 8 months ago, this guy, and he says, I got this note. I'm a brand new note person. I've been investing in real estate, but I've got this older guy, and he's willing to help me get started, and he wants to sell this note. And so I said, great, send it on over. I think he's from, where is he from? I don't remember where he's from, New Jersey or anyway, East Coast stuff. And so I helped him along and knowing what to do. But I said, hey, you've got to make this happen. If you want to earn the broker fee, here's the guidance, but you're the one that's got to chase the paperwork and get him to sign it and follow up on it and all that. He sends it over, and I said, oh my God, this is a note that I tried to buy a year and a half ago, practically, and I want to jump down here to this. At that point, the UPB was higher, right, by at least $2,000 or $3,000. I had offered 2 years ago, another broker brought me this deal, and I offered it about, I want to remember, about 41,000 for it at that time, and it was a similar yield in that 16% range at that time. But she was trying to make a killing off this one deal. She wanted to make $5,000, which is a lot on a deal this size, because you can see it's over 10 points or over 10% of the unpaid principal balance, right? So 5,000, that's just a pretty high. Not that people don't make that kind of money, but on typically that's kind of high to try to. Anyway, so she offered the note seller 41 minus 36, and he rejected it because he knew that that he should be able to get about 38, 39 for it, because he's not an unseasoned note seller. He's a seasoned real estate and note investor, and he really knew he could do better. So we didn't get the deal, right? Anyhow, so what could I have done? Like I had the whole package, and I could have gone around this broker, and I could have gone direct to the note holder and said, let's you and I do this deal. She killed it by trying to take too much out of it. But I don't do that. Doing one thing like that gets out anywhere just ruins you. It's just a creepy thing to do. I mean, if I would have told her, "Hey, I'm gonna go after it, and look, are you okay with that? And I'll give you $2,500 if I can close it." But really, it's just not worth it to me, so I just dropped the whole thing because the last thing that you want in my business is get a reputation of going around people that are hustling and trying to bring you deals, right? I mean, I want people to trust me. And so I do things that make them be able to trust me. So I walked away from a deal that I really liked. I mean, at that point, it had like, 3 years worth of seasoning or almost that. It was a nice note. And I knew someone who wanted to go in on it. So it came back around with this other new guy who made a new connection. And then he's saying, I said, look, it's going to kill it if you're going to need a lot. And he goes, well, what's fair? And I go, $1,500 is fair. It's 3%. And if you're a real estate agent, you understand that makes a lot of sense. It's like 3% or 3 points of the balance is the same as one side of a real estate transaction, right? One side is usually 2.5 to 3%. Two sides is 5 to 6%. There's no really rules. It's kind of whatever you can negotiate, but I think it's a good frame of reference. And especially when you're new, don't be greedy. Just get some deals under your belt. And I've got a guy who's very seasoned on small deals that are less than 15,000 or something. He'll take $500 or $750 if that's what it takes to get the deal done. He won't be greedy. I mean, I think the biggest commission check I've ever paid him is something like 3,500, something like that. So he hustles. Anyway, that's just a point. But anyway, so he offered, I'll pay 39.5. He wants to make 1,500. We offered the note seller 38,000, which is divided by the UPB. Well, he's getting 75%. That's pretty decent. It's 75%. Cents on the dollar, especially he's got a very modest broker fee there going, and it's a deal that I want to hold in portfolio with myself and another investor. Or you'll see what. Okay, what could I do with this note? And if this was your note, if you had this under contract, what could you do with it? Like if I just wanted to broker it, and I have done that on rare occasions, but I really love little bits of passive income even more than big chunks of change. I guess if I really had some need, like I'm buying a new car or one of my kids had a root canal or something, maybe I'll take more cash out at the front. But let's say I just wanted to broker it, or you came across a note and you wanted to broker it. So basically we've got 128. What if you could find someone, especially with a self-directed IRA, some qualified funds that are just sitting there and need a nice, safe yield for a long time, and they don't want to be doing a lot of business in there to get UBIT and some of those other things going. What would they pay for 128 payments of this amount? They needing this yield. What will they pay? So present value, they'd pay $50,000, right? So basically, and this makes sense, this is the unpaid principal balance because the face rate on the note is 10. If they're happy with 10, then I can sell it to them at par, which is roughly, after closing costs, a $10,000 broker fee. Now, that's pretty high. I think that's high. And most people, I don't know if the big funds would buy this note. There's a couple weird things about it, like I mentioned, the zero down payment. But to me, a lot of things make up for it. The fact that it's tenant occupied, perfect payment history for over 4 years. But I don't really know. But I guess I could take that, but I don't really want to. Or I could, what if someone needed a 12% yield? What would it be? So I could sell it somewhere between the 46,000 to 50,000 straight out to someone who's comfortable managing the asset, and I would just walk away, right? It's not like I'm going to be there babysitting it or servicing it or anything. It's up to them to deal with whatever happens with the note. So I could make a fee if I need eat money today, or I could sell off a partial. So if I have 128 payments coming, and if you have any questions or comments, let me unmute you or something, or type in. So what if I sell off? What if I need a little bit of EAT money, but not this much of EAT money? What if I sell the note, a 94-month partial? So I have 128 payments left, and I sell off 94. That means I get 34 left at the end, right? Once the investor receives their 94th payment, the note comes back to me, and I'll start receiving the payments of 644. That's a total of 20, almost 22,000 in payments, right? Starting 95 months from now, which is almost 8 years from now. That'll just come in after I've already made 2,500 bucks right now selling off the partial, right? I get my money back from closing the deal, and I put $2,500 in my pocket, and then down the road, I still got this little magical thing coming to me. If it pays off early, so much the better. I have a piece of that tail end of the note coming after I already got paid. So how did I figure out how much of the note to sell? Here's how I did. I go, well, how much do I want? So okay, let's just see. I want grocery money and to pay, to pay the little fees, my hosting fees and the webinar fees and the shopping cart fees and all those things. So I want this much money. So then I need 42,000. So I'll say, okay, let me get 42,000 from someone. And if I assume they're happy with, I wonder if I put 10 in here. How much would they need? They'll get this payment for this much money at this yield. How many payments would they need? That's what I did. So then I got to round it to 94. And I will say, hey, you're going to get just shy of a 10% yield. You're at almost 50% investment to value here. I'm keeping the tail end of the note so if something goes wrong, I'm going to be all over it because I don't want my remainder interest in the note to disappear. It's almost like having someone guarantee the note. And probably I could easily do that. Sell the first 94 payments to someone for 42,000, put 25 in my pocket, and then I have this remainder thing. I wonder how did I figure out what the present value of that future payment stream is? So I have 34 payments. I'm assuming a 16% yield. That's just the number I put in there for what I'm like sort of aiming for. It's not, dyed in wool. The present value of that is 17,500, but that's if I was starting to receive that payment like next month and for the next 34 months thereafter. But this first payment here doesn't start for how long? 94 months, right? Or 95 months. So what I got to do is put this number. This becomes like, okay, that's a lump sum number that it's the value today. But this is really, I got to put it as a negative number and shove it over here as future value, as a balloon kind of payment that at the beginning, when this starts paying in 95 months, that's what it's worth at the beginning of it. But in the meantime, I'm not going to receive any payments from it for 94 months. And assuming I'm still just plugging that in because that's my number, maybe 8's your number. You think inflation or the optimal investment you're looking for is at 8, you can plug in whatever number. But then I solve for present value, and to me, this is worth $5,000 today for a payment stream that starts 94 months from now, maybe 95. But I really didn't pay anything for this, right? It's infinity return because I actually got paid to put the deal together. Of course, I have my costs of being in business and what I've had to invest to get to this point in my life to where these kind of deals come to me sometime. All right. Any questions? All right. Let me move on to the last slide. There's a couple other things I could do with it. And I'm gonna tell you I'm gonna do one of these two. I haven't decided what yet. Here's what else I could do. I could borrow $39,500 to buy the note, and it's secured with an assignment, a recorded assignment, and deed of trust, right? So they're still secured as if they sort of made a loan. It's just they don't originate the documents, they're taking assignment of it. If someone gets like a totally passive income, I know people with this type of deal would probably really be happy. I know someone right now, maybe two or three, that would be happy with this 8.5%. So let me see if I borrowed 39.5. Okay, and we have 128 payments left, and I know they'd be happy with 8.5. Maybe it's fully amortizing, so let's solve for payment. Okay, for them to get an 8.5 on their 39.5, which would buy the note in total, they need 470.37. Did I put that in here? Yes, right here. So if I add what's coming in just to get the difference, you can see the difference is, well, 174.39. I'll service the note and keep an eye on it and manage it and all that, but I'll keep 174. That's with none of my own money invested, right? So I'll get 174.39 for the next 128 months. That's a total of 22,322 out of thin air. That's like passive income out of thin air. That's what I'm talking about. Like sometimes 10,000 or 8,000, 5,000, it's really awesome to have in your pocket right now. But if you don't need it, how great is this? Because that adds to your base salary. I think of it. It's like that's my freedom money. Like I can work if I want to, but I don't have to, right? And that's great. I love adding this amount to my passive income every month. Doing this once or twice a month just makes me super, super happy. Okay, so I could do that, and this would just be in my, I get taxed on this money kind of thing. If I wanted to do it in a completely tax-free environment to build up my future income and not pay any taxes on this thing at all, here's my other idea, and I'm not 100% sure what I'll do yet. I set up a Roth IRA for my mother, which I funded with a whopping $1,000. And I said, Mom, will you sign this? Will you sign the paperwork, and I'll be the power of attorney. I'll fund it. And if you want me to do this for the other kids, I'd be happy to help that get set up for everyone. But the thing is, I'm the beneficiary, so that when she dies, which is kind of a morose thing to talk to your mother about, but she's a practical gal. She's not going to die anytime real soon, but maybe in the next 10 years sometime, that I will be the beneficiary. And there's all sorts of benefits of getting an inherited Roth IRA that I'm not able to articulate very well, but they're really amazing. Like I'll be able to take all the money, I can grow $1,000, as wimpy as that sounds. I can grow that. It'll be exponentially much larger by the time I would inherit it. And then it's the mandatory distributions, or there's some other thing, required minimum distributions, RMDs, are based on my lifetime, my actuarial table. So basically I can keep money growing tax-free in a really spectacular way. And then if I get out of the way, I can give it to my kids, and they can do it. Anyway, so I can then, if I want to get out of the way, I can bequeath it to my 4 children, and they can have tax-free money based on their actuarial tables. So you can see it could be just an amazing thing. So that $1,000 that I put in my mother's Roth IRA that she opened with listing me as the beneficiary and me as the power of attorney, I can take $500 of that, and she will get 28% of the note. How do I know that? Okay, so let's reverse engineer it. If I get someone else with a self-directed IRA, then I can get them to put in $39,000. And if I say they're happy with 8.5, how much do they need? They need $464.41 to get their 8.5 for their 39,000. So that 464 divided by the whole payment that's coming in, 644.76, is 72%. So for a $39,000 investment, they get 72% of the note. Any payment that comes in, whether it's a regular monthly payment or an additional principal reduction or an early payoff. It's going to be like a fractionalized interest. And the only way that I'm interested in fractionalized interest is with these self-directed IRA accounts, which I actually don't touch. I don't even service these for myself because I don't want a chance disqualifying the money in the transaction. And so my mom, on behalf of my mom, if I put the $500 in there, she gets 28% of the note because what's left over? Recall this, right? Plus 644.76. So what's left over? $180.35. Divided by 644, that's obviously 28% of the note. So for 1%, less than 1% of the payment or something like that, she gets, it's 1.3% of the payment. She gets 28% of the note because we got it under contract at 16%, and my investor's happy with 8.5%. So there's a nice arbitrage happening here. So if I put my mom's $500 in there, and that Roth IRA gets 180.35 a month for the next 128 months with an initial investment of $500, what's the ROI? What's the yield? Let me calculate. Not bad. 433% is what I could get on that $500. So, and it's all tax-free for me or for the kids because my mom doesn't need it, and I'm the beneficiary, and actually I'm the executive of the estate too. So it's not like, oh, my other siblings are going to steal it from me after I've funded it and helped it to grow and all that. So so that's pretty nice, right? I can take $500 and times 128 at the end of 10, 11 years. Even if I do nothing else, I'm going to have 23,000 in there. But you can see that I can step and repeat, right? I can put 100, 200, 500, 1,000, and I can do multiple deals where I'm quadrupling or more the money in these qualified accounts that are all going to be, the distributions are all going to be tax free. And that's a huge, huge thing that I'm just starting to get my brain around. So anyway, that's all I got for today. And I'm going to try to unmute everyone. Anything else from anyone? Any questions, concerns, something you want to share about what you're doing? Thank you so much for spending the evening with me. It's great connecting with you here from Carson City, and I wish you all the best, and we'll talk soon. All right, you guys have a good night.